Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cash Compound's Client Chronicles, where we interview the folks that we work with who are helping build their wealth through the banking concept. So today we have got Miss Lindsay Vaught in studio, and we're going to talk to her a little bit about why she started and what we've got coming forward in the future. Lindsay, thank you so much for being on the cast today.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Wonderful. So tell us about what we're going to do very soon. I know that we've got a big to-do that we're teaming up together. And then after that, we'll get into the details of your story and how banking kind of caught your attention. So tell everybody what we're excited about having come up.
So on November 7th, which is a Saturday morning through afternoon, we're going to have a physical and financial stewardship workshop that I'll be hosting both in person and online. The tickets are on Eventbrite. I've got them posted on all of my business pages. But the idea is to promote both your financial health and physical wellness within your existing budget. So obviously that's something that you're passionate about. So I'm excited to be able to share this opportunity with you. And then I'll also be having Dr. Blessing Anyatonu, who is a holistic health coach in Austin, Texas. And she and I have partnered on several different workshop events over the past year. She's a phenomenal lady, and I'm really looking forward to being able to share these tools to help people, especially going into the holidays, be able to work within their existing budget to still, like you promote, both spend their money and save it at the same time.
Right. Very good. So let's take it now. Let me give you a big congratulations today. I believe today your very first banking system, your very first policy contract is going in force, as we like to say in the business today. So if folks are actually watching this, they're right at the beginning of your journey, I guess. Yes. So tell us let's go back before you started the banking process and we started helping you understand how to do this for yourself. What was it like growing up for you and learning about money? Was it something that you were familiar with as a family? Was it a taboo subject? Give us your background when it came to understanding money.
So grew up poor. My dad had a job in construction, but we lived in California, and California, your budget just does not go very far. And my mom made the decision when we were very young to homeschool us. And so she gave up the opportunity to work outside of the home. Now, she always did side jobs working from home. That was a part of my life growing up. But it was a choice. It was a sacrifice. Now, the value of that is immeasurable. I mean, it's ridiculous because I have the opportunity now to look at things from a different perspective as opposed to going to a school where I really would have fit more into kind of a box and generalized situation. So I'm very grateful for the sacrifice that they chose to make, but it did come with a cost. My dad died when I was 16. And he was sick for about 6 years prior to that. And so when he passed away, we had his medical debt, and we had all kinds of other things that were just really crushing. Now, my mom was phenomenal. She did a fantastic job of providing for us. And long before it was cool, she did the types of things that Dave Ramsey is, promoting with the paying off your debt, living debt free. I remember the day that she cut up the last credit card and tore up the bills, and we just cried in the living room because she paid off all of our debt within 3 years by herself as a single mom. Wonderful. It was phenomenal, and I honestly I think it was within 3 years. It was likely less than that, but. So, but that being said, I worked my way through college. I did my master's one class at a time so that I could get it for free. I worked at a ministry job, didn't have a lot of income, which was fine. We live on a simple budget, but something happened, and we had a flood in our house, had to do reconstruction, and it was devastating financially. Yeah. And so it brought to my attention the need to do some things differently, forced a change in career. And so that was how it was. Now, financial stewardship was something that we always did as a family. Like I said, long before it was ever cool. We just did things the best way that my mom knew how. She was very creative, and but we were coming from a very basic place. We were coming from a pretty low place. I'm reaping the benefits of that now, but it was a very long-term decision that she made to sacrifice for our ultimate benefit.
Well, how do you think? So, how is that? Give me that mindset between a lot of folks that work with us or don't work with us, maybe even see what we do, don't have a long-term mindset. So help us understand how some of that mindset that your parents and your mom started to set up really has influenced you now as an adult, and how that's been helpful.
Oh, it impacts everything. It impacts everything from my ministry to relationships, all of those types of things. Having that long-term end game goal in mind to glorify God and everything that we say and do has been what has really impacted every area of my life, and not just every area of my life, but it's also impacted my career decision. Like I said, I work in solar, which on a different level does very much the same thing as what you do in Cash Compound, basically owning your own power plant, owning your own energy resource, as opposed to paying someone else to basically rent your power. And so that idea of having independence and control and all of those types of things are very much the principles that I was raised with. So.
Very good. Very good. So when you first heard about us and what we were doing, give us some of the things that you had been practicing and how maybe they meshed and how they didn't. You mentioned Dave Ramsey. And of course, one big piece of our system, the product that we use, is not something people understand well or are educated on at all. And if you're a person who's followed the precepts of a guy like that, you may think, whoa, no, never, couldn't do it. So help us understand the journey you had to go through.
So I did not follow Dave Ramsey. I just know that we have been in line with what he has promoted and what we've taught. Obviously, trying to do everything debt free as much as possible. If we have credit cards, we pay them off quickly. But it's been those principles that of like I said, physical and financial independence.
Yeah.
That have really impacted our choices financially. We live very simply. We own both of our cars. As a matter of fact, when we first talked, I think you said I was one of the only people that you had known that had bought a car through our 401k, paid ourselves back with interest. And that wasn't
right. Yeah. So,
that was it. It was only one-time option with the 401k, but we were already applying that.
Yeah. So tell me about why you thought that was important. Did someone coach you into the idea of borrowing from your retirement purposefully to do things that you needed to do today, like buy a car and pay it back? Like, how did you know to do that? Some folks never would touch it because they don't know it's an option, and other folks maybe borrow and never pay it back. So you were already practicing banking with a different system.
We really weren't coached. We were just looking for a better option. Obviously, nobody wants to lose thousands of dollars in debt when you've got a small budget and you're living simply. At the time we did that, I was in graduate school and working 4 jobs, and there was just all kinds of things that I had to do to make sure that we were staying within budget. And so that was something that my mom came across, and a friend recommended it to her. She had done the same thing, and so that's what we did with her car. Now, my car, I bought the traditional way, went out, took out a loan, just paid it off quickly. It was a higher interest loan. It wasn't a super high interest loan. I had decent credit, but I paid it off in 2.5 years instead of 5 years. And in my mind, I saved a lot of money, but still, it was a one-time purchase.
Sure.
And that money is gone.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you and your mother seem to have a great relationship here, and you guys are kind of doing this process of banking and learning it together. So what advice would you give to other people who are learning what we know and trying to relate it to family members? We're teaching, we're educating, we're trying to help them understand. Some people have a tough bridge to cross when they're introducing this idea to the people that they love the most.
Well, it was very much in line with what she taught and believed with me. And so I wasn't really having to cross a barrier. That being the case, education was also a really big thing. And so I spent hours and hours and hours. I mean, I think, I was, from the time I reached out to you until just recently, I spent a ridiculous amount of time trying to make sure that I had access to the resources I needed to make the best decision and to research on her behalf. And so as I was doing that, I basically had to make a list of the things that applied to her.
Yeah, sure.
And introduce them as she was available. She's been working a lot of overtime with this COVID business. And so basically I had to learn it well enough to be able to teach it. And which is what inspired this physical and financial stewardship workshop as well. I had to learn something well enough to be able to teach it to someone else. And in the process, learned all kinds of amazing ways that I could apply it.
Good. Well, you've made a lot of good decisions, it seems, as a family and as a person, an individual. You've made a lot of good decisions with money. But I have to ask, give us some of your worst financial mistakes out there. Do you have a story, something you did, something that you almost did that was a terrible idea, you'd never do it again, or something like that?
The one thing that I have been the one thing that I do regret, and I've done pretty well with managing my debt, but the one thing that I do regret is having credit cards. Now, prior to this, I didn't know an alternative to being able to fund something. As a matter of fact, I think I reached out to you when I was getting ready to fund my business, and I just couldn't see taking out a $20,000, $40,000 loan to get something started as a wise financial decision.
Okay, yeah.
And putting myself at risk like that. And so, anyway, it wasn't, I can't think of anything other than having the credit cards and letting them extend into a time where I had to pay interest on them. I typically sign up for a 0 interest credit card, pay off the balance before we, cross the line. But there have been a few times when I haven't done that. And that has, I have a heart attack every time I look at it.
Right. Yep. Okay, so as we kind of transition now, tell us about you getting started with us. So you saw what from us? How did you get introduced to what we were doing? Did you join a course? Did you, which books have you tried? What resources kind of led you to the Cash Compound?
So it was in the process of looking into your Black History narrative that I came across accidentally on your page. At the same time as I was looking for ways to fund my business. I came across this idea of the Cash Compound. You had done a podcast interview with a couple who had used these principles and applied them, and you gave a discount code, looked up your website, was really impressed by the way that it walked you through the educational process. As we walked through, I got every book that was listed there. Yeah. I started doing the research. It made sense. I knew it was possible because I'd done it before. And then I just kept reaching out to you for more resources as we went along. And I have continued to do that. And I've got quite a stack coming up here. So I don't have the books in front of me, but the Becoming Your Own Banker was really impactful. And the follow-up book to that was also really impactful. I read, I think that was the
Warehouse of Wealth.
Yes.
Warehouse of Wealth.
And Warehouse of Wealth and the And Asset were really phenomenal tools. I think those were probably my favorite tools out of all of the ones that we use. Becoming Your Own Banker is a little bit more technical, and that's one I think you said you have to read several times to get through it. But it's well worth the effort to do that. So.
Now, a lot of people who work with us are business owners like yourself. So I want to give you a chance to kind of explain the journey that you've gone in business. Cash flow and cracking the code to cash flow being our mantra is a big part of funding a business and having a well-run machine. So give us a forecast of how you think you're going to be able to use your banking systems and your policies. I know we've already talked about you starting, obviously having another one in your family, your household with mom, and potentially another one for yourself already. So you're thinking about this to be an entire system to help you run everything. So tell us about your businesses. Tell us how you're going to use these policies to be able to really finance everything.
Okay, so part of this is a mindset issue. So like most people, I grew up doing the responsible thing, tried to be really careful with my money, thought I had to have an hourly job. I was very concerned about my hourly income and things like that. Okay. Thought I had to have a 401k, that I had to have provided health insurance, all of those types of things. And then this financial crisis kind of pushed me into doing something else. I had a health crisis around the same time as well.
Wow.
And it just, it absolutely forced a lot of major changes in my life. So I continued. When I first got into solar, I was still looking for an hourly job. I was still looking to work for someone else. I was still looking to do these things because I thought that was a responsible thing to do. And I went down that path with a couple of companies. And after being in it for a couple of months, I thought, I don't think I have to work for somebody else. I don't, after working for a while and realizing things could be different, I started thinking differently. And so as I've worked for several other solar companies, a large part of the services that I offer are to other solar companies. And so as I started that process, I thought, you know what, I could do things differently. I have resources to offer. I have services that I can offer that are unique to me. And it's to other companies' benefits, and it's to my customers' benefit that I share those. So that's the same mentality as the services that you offer. It's doing something different and being able to retain those resources for the greater benefit, for much greater benefit, taking control of those things in order to be able to offer a better service. So as I was looking into it, when I was looking to fund my business, the option, like I said, was taking on debt, taking out, a large
bank loan,
personal loan.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was doing that, I just couldn't see that as a responsible decision. When I talked to other business owners, they were like, "Oh yeah, you just, you make it back quickly, and you could just, pay it off faster, and you pay less interest." But I thought, that's less interest, but that's still a huge chunk of income out. It takes a while to recover that. Yes, you can pay it off, but that's a hole that you start out in. And I just couldn't see taking that risk with my family. And so in coming across your system, I was able to get creative in how I applied it, and not just looking to apply it to my business, but my personal funds, as well as ministry funds as well. I've always wanted to go to the mission field. My health and family situation have prohibited that, but this is a way that I can also impact the spread of the gospel. And so I'm excited to share that too.
Wonderful. We hope we can help you do that. It's a beautiful mission that you have there. So if you don't mind, we'd love to have a detail or two about your actual first policy that you've set up here. A lot of folks, when they get started with us, they're really trying to figure out what number to use. And it's hard to, where do they pull numbers from? Do they have a savings? Do they have a pile of money? Do they have a retirement fund? Do they go up or down during the application process? And many people are like, whoa, I told you a number I can't do. You actually did the opposite. And you said, hey, now that I'm learning, I'm understanding a little bit more, I realize what I want to do and what my goals are financially. So you called us and said, hey, let's jack that number up. So walk us through that process a little bit and how you came to your conclusion.
So that process was when I first started out, obviously you want to be careful. You want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. As I started the investigating, as I was doing the research, I thought, okay, this is the right thing a million times over. I should be doing more than this. So what I did was I chose a policy that basically took all of my spending money for the year. Oh, so basically yeah. I took what I was already spending mm-hmm. and what I could sustain, what I knew I would have income, even if my businesses belly flopped and, did all these things. I don't know that I mentioned, but I'm a yoga instructor as well. There are some expenses in education, things like that come along with that insurance. And so I took a number that basically, regardless of the success of any of those things, it was the amount that I was already spending. And that way I could be sure that I would be able to pay it back. Now I have, IRA and all of those types of things, but in line with what you were promoting, I wasn't touching those. I was just doing the amount that I was already spending on my living expenses.
So you weren't taking money this was money that you didn't have to work harder to get to. You didn't have to change up all your cash flow. This is money that you normally were spending.
Right. Okay. And should I decide to open separate policies, or if I decide to, let's say my businesses are successful, I can do that as well and contribute to those things in a different way. But this is something that I know for sure that I can commit to.
Wonderful. Okay, well, we're about to wrap things up. Thank you so much, Lindsay Vaught, for being a part of our pilot program here for our Client Chronicles. But tell us more about what we have coming up. One more time, remind us about this financial and physical seminar that I get to be privileged to be a part of, and let us know where to find you if we want to do business with you as well.
Yes. So you can look me up on Facebook. I have Upstate Solar and Real Estate, which is my most recent business. I have Beloved One Studios, which is my yoga business that I do in the evenings. And the Eventbrite link, I can share that link with you, and maybe you can post it in the comments or make it available along with this. You can get the tickets, and there is also a $20 coupon per household. The price, by the way, is per household. And so you can invite as many people over as you want, split that cost. But the idea is to get this message out there and to make it possible for people to sit down together and work through how to apply these principles and how to utilize these tools. You, myself, and Dr. Blessing have gone through extensive amounts of research, years of research to gather tools to make it necessary or to make it possible to do what's necessary to provide for our families in the best possible way. And so to make it easier for people to be able to do that, we're just making it a household fee, and they can invite as many friends as they can do. And then there's, like I said, there's a $20 discount code as you go through the Eventbrite link. And that will be, the discount code will be stewardship, the word stewardship. And if you apply that on there, you can get that $20 discount, and then join us November 7th. I believe it's 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Don't ask me. It's yours.
Either way, the details are on the Eventbrite.
Wonderful.
So you should be able to find it there.
Very good. Well, thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. Lindsay Vaught here for the Client Chronicles. Appreciate you being our guinea pig for our very first pilot episode of this. And I look forward to joining you and to help spread the word that we can crack the code to cash flow. Appreciate what you're doing. And we look forward to serving you in the future.